Joining me now from our bureau in Washington, D.C., President of the National Border Patrol Council, Brandon Judd. Brandon, this is huge, what the Attorney General is revealing, holding these cities and municipalities accountable for their, quote, sanctuary, the illegal alien status. They're going to file lawsuits against these sanctuary jurisdictions. These rogue cities, counties, and states need to be held accountable to the rule of law and to the United States Constitution. Is that not the position of the council?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, when you look at these lawsuits that Attorney General Barr and the DOJ is going to file, they're going to win. They're going to win these lawsuits once it goes to the, and obviously, I mean, you're going to have the lower courts that potentially will block anything. But once it works its way up, once we get to the Supreme Court, when you have less judicial activism, when you actually have a court that is going to look and rule on the laws and how the laws are passed, they're going to win this. But it all comes back to border security. Everything that they're trying to do is trying to secure the border. If you get rid of sanctuary cities, you get rid of one of the magnets that is drawing people to come to our country illegally. So they're always looking at how can we secure the border and stop this problem right at the point of contact. And that's what they're doing.
Makes total sense, right? Secure the border and also take away the incentive. For example, if we had a national statute that required E-Verify, this would necessarily, and folks who don't know what E-Verify is, it sounds like what it is. It verifies whether you're in this country legal or not, whether you're a U.S. citizen or not. And so if we had a national policy on E-Verify, that would take away X amount. We know that some illegals come over here to this country for nefarious reasons, but some come here to work illegally, illicitly. If we had E-Verify in place, Brandon, how much easier would it make your job?
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you talk about incentives. That's why people come to the United States. I call them magnets. It's what draws people here and causes them to cross our border illegally. Anytime that you incentivize criminal activity, people are going to violate our laws. But anytime that you crack down and say our laws are very valuable to protecting the American public, not only the safety, but it protects the economic security of the American public. Anytime you take away these incentives, you get less people that cross the border illegally, and that's what we have to look at, and that's what we have to go after. If we can control the number of people that are crossing the border illegally, we don't have the tens of millions of people that are in the country illegally. That's where we have to start, but you've got to go after what is the magnets or those incentives that cause people to come here.
Yet there is some radical leadership on Capitol Hill that is attempting to undo all of what we're talking about and throw gasoline on the illegal immigrant fire. And in particular, I'm talking about this bill, H.R. 5383, called the New Way Forward Act. These are the highlights. Let me read them real quick, Brandon. It would end mandatory detention of illegals. It would establish statute of limitations to deport illegals. It would require probable cause to arrest illegals. It would end removal without due process. It would prohibit state and local enforcement engaging illegals, that would be law enforcement, and it would decriminalize illegal entry to the United States. If this New Way Forward Act were to find its way forward in Washington, D.C., it would effectively wipe out our borders and our current immigration process in this country.
This is an insane bill. I very rarely talk about bills that have no chance to pass, but we have to discuss this bill simply because so that the American public can see exactly how far left some of our politicians are going. What this would do, they call it the New Way Forward Act. In reality, what they should call it is they should call it the Cartel Enrichment and Catch and Release Act.
Right. Because
that's all you're doing. All you're doing is enriching the cartels. Because if you force the government to release people that cross our border illegally, if you give them a benefit to violating our laws, you're going to have the cartels going into every single country in the world. They're going to be able to recruit people to give them thousands of dollars to bring them to our borders just to cross them and give themselves up to the U.S. Border Patrol because we're going to release them. This is insanity, and it must stop. But the only way it can stop is if the American public are educated on what is actually happening, and they stand up and they do something about it.
It would explode DACA, and it would institutionalize DACA. It would also leave our border wide open effectively. It would tie your hands. It would tie the hands of ICE, and it would effectively radical overhaul with a wide open border. Our current system of legal immigration would be, as you said, insane to pass such a piece of legislation. Brandon, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.